Welcome back to the European Masters, everybody. We are diving into our next game, eSuba versus mousesports. eSuba coming off a pretty hard loss against Energy Pot Wizards, and their final game of the European Masters is about to take place. They are going up against probably the strongest looking Prime League team so far, especially off the back of their performances today. Mouz are looking pretty unstoppable so far. This would be a big upset if eSuba were to win, but I do have to tell you, Celtic, that if they did win, and then Fnatic went on to win against Energy Pot Wizards, we would actually have a tiebreaker situation for second. So the outcome of this game matters slightly, somewhat unlikely outcome, but it does matter.
Okay, but now looking at some of the picks that might come in to respond to that, I wonder if you see eSuba try go for the first lock Akali, because Random plays a lot of Akali, and obviously it's one of Leader's major champions there after the Aurelia at the very least. So I wonder if that's their plan. It would be an unusual first lock, but just given the specific scenario, might make some sense here.
Just going to go for the Renekton for Robocop again. I don't disagree. I did think that Robocop had a good game on the Renekton. Just it felt like at some point he was just moderately useless because there's nothing. And that's kind of what Renekton does eventually. Like eventually he just becomes a bit useless, especially outside of a side lane. But they feel that matchup is really important to him, and we'll see what Mouz choose to respond with. Immediately, promisq is going to get his Thresh. I wonder if they're going to go for anything for leader. He has almost every single one of his
I think here, because you go for the Aphelios Thresh, I think that makes the most sense, but you could either then lock in something high priority like the Trundle. Normally it would be the Azir, but you tend to avoid that as leader. But okay,
yeah,
the Kalista instead.
It's going to be the Kalista. Kalista, a strong pick, combos very well with Thresh. You basically have the double escape. You have the Kalista to essentially Lantern Thresh out, and then Thresh can be thrown away towards the turret and Lantern Kalista out. It's a very, very strong escape tool, but they don't want to lose that Nautilus pick to the second round of bans. They're going to immediately go for the Varus Nautilus lock-in, and a pick that I think Obsess has played very well on is the Trundle. That comes out for him.
Yeah, I think Obsess having particularly good games today as well, having to stand up considering that it wasn't maybe quite the leader show that we'd seen of previous games, having stepped up in his own right, especially early games, securing a lot for Mouz.
So bans coming through Graves, and they're going to start targeting some junglers here. Jejky going to start to lose things. I guess he'll lose his Lee Sin here if they are scared of it. I mean, that Lee Sin Trundle matchup can be a bit awkward from time to time, but it's going to be the Kindred. So it's going to be Kindred and Graves locked out for Jejky. I imagine he just goes to his Lee Sin in this situation, but again, they're just trying to limit some of the junglers that he has an opportunity to pick.
Technically, one of his most played during his regular season was the Echo, but I would agree that I think the Lee Sin makes more sense here, has a decent matchup, but I think what Mouz are trying to do is push them onto further into an earlier win condition, whereas Mouz can hold on to the game and then scale up if they want.
They are giving leader the counter pick scenario versus random. They'll go for the blind Gangplank. Oh no, it's not blind. He knows he's playing into Renekton. So they're going into the Renekton here, unless that Renekton gets flexed, which I doubt it will. It's going to be a Galio locked in. So is that Galio mid for random? And then it is going to be the Lee Sin for Jejky.
Yeah, I think just expecting leader to go for something kind of burst focused and trying to avoid that by picking something that's quite tanky in the mid lane.
So we'll wait to see what leader decides to respond with. He's got every option available to him. Again, might be more difficult to play an assassin in this particular matchup, especially, you know, an AP-focused assassin. Leader just going to lock in the bird. It's a little bit out of his generic, I guess, branded wheelhouse, but we have seen him play a lot of Azir. We saw him play it today already. We'll see if he can continue on that champion. It also has a matchup versus the Galio where, you know, the Galio will have a bit of a tough time versus those soldiers in lane.
Yeah, I think while Galio can survive for quite a lot of time, the soldiers have a very easy time zoning him out because, of course, he has to walk up to CS. So a good matchup here, and I think that's why leader's comfortable locking it in and doesn't really want to go the Akali up to the Galio, who has such an easy time maybe going for the big taunts when he runs into the Shroud.
Yeah, he can always sort of prevent Akali from getting free damage down. It is a tougher matchup for leader there. He's going to go for the Azir. Now I'm going to give you that stage again as we head in towards game. What win conditions are we looking at for both of these teams?
So eSuba seem to be playing for this early game, play for the lane priority, try to get Jejky fed. Similar thing we've seen beforehand. So I don't necessarily disagree with it. I just think mousesports have the much easier time where they can match that on top of the fact that if the game goes later, they can also win that way. And it's not like they're completely outclassed early either. That's why I'd heavily favor the Mouse draft.
So mousesports coming into this looking for the 5-1 record in this group, guaranteeing them first seed out of the group as well. They don't want to enter in a potential tiebreaker situation with Fnatic, which would force one more game tonight, I believe, if that were the case. And eSuba, you know, again, they don't want to go the opposite. They don't want to go 0-6. They want to get at least one win on the board. It would be big upset if they got this win versus mousesports. It is definitely an uphill battle. eSuba have not looked clean. Obviously, I think it's a tall order. You know, the Hit Point Masters is a league that maybe doesn't get as much talent as some of the other leagues do. But irrespective, it would be a nice feeling to leave the European Masters on a high at the very least. Because this is the last game that we will see eSuba play. This is the last chance for Jejky, Random, Robocop, Dany and Rufus to display what they're capable of, you know, on the second biggest stage in Europe.
It is worth noting as well, when you're talking about how the Hit Point Masters maybe doesn't consistently have the best performances, that this is a team that's performed quite consistently domestically. This is a team that went 13-1 in the regular season, and then the playoffs, by the time they got to finals, beat out Cyber Gaming 3-1. They are a team that look extremely strong within that small area, but that's it. It's when you bring it out onto the big European stage, you have to see how well does your small domestic league hold up.
Well, nothing fancy happening. We've seen a lot of like crazy level 1s across a lot of the games, especially when we saw Excel playing yesterday. But I think they're very well aware that Lee Sin has started on the red side. Jeskla and promisq were just trying to get some kind of positional advantage in lane to at least force an early level 2, maybe look for some cheese there. But Dany and Rufus are now in lane very happily doing so. And Jejky, he's just going to go straight over to his blue buff to make sure he doesn't lose out in or at least just try and get that early clear onto the blue buff and head and do some kind of work on the map.
So, the one thing I like is, we talked about how eSuba generally wanted to play for priority, maybe go for aggressive pushes, but Mouz actually countered that quite well by going for the Azir into the Galio. If you can get all your lanes prioritized except mid lane, it's still difficult for you to actually push your advantage. So, that's actually a big hindrance to eSuba. It really means that the first lane they're going to have to try snowball is going to be the mid lane. They're going to have to try force something against the Azir because other side lanes are going to be quite difficult.
That's a nice hook there, and immediately the ignite comes out. Dany is taken so low. Don't think he's going to die. Wait a second, that was insane from Jeskla. That was a big flash, big rend as well, and they pick up that first blood.
It's alright, I got TP, guys, don't worry about it. I'm going back to lane, but yeah, really nicely played by Jeskla, coming in there with just a quick QE when they thought the trade was done. They thought they were safe.
Now Jejky heading up towards the top lane. Tolkin now going to be the target, immediately jumped on. That's a huge amount of damage. They will not... wait, Tolkin turned back around and forced a flash. It's a good flash force out here. Now Obsess heading his way down towards the bot side of the map. Jeskla and promisq there as well. Remember, they don't have any flashes available. And now Jejky on the top side of the map. There's two things going on at once. He does land a Sonic Wave. He's going to commit to it. Yes, he will, but he will go down at the same time. The turret will take the kill. And I think on the bot side of the map, they just kind of let that one slide.
I think that's fine, considering the Renekton didn't even get an assist. I think Tolkin's going to be very happy with that one, being able to TP back to the wave as well. I mean, aside from being forced back, this is a relatively okay spot to be in as the Gangplank.
Yeah, he's probably pretty happy with that. And you can see now, Robocop taking a bit of damage in return. Tolkin would gladly take that extra kill. I mean, that's a 1-for-1 trade. You're happy with that, like you said. It's very, very happy.
And you can see now he's actually trying to freeze that top wave. As a result, you're seeing Obsess wants to clear top to bot, but if that aggressive TP came in from Robocop trying to break that freeze, you would get a free kill. But there's
Rufus gets hooked in there. Yeah, exactly. Jeskla manages to escape, though, again. That's kind of what the Thresh is good for. Thresh is very, very good at just essentially keeping your AD carry safe in a multitude of situations, and promisq does his job there.
On the other side, we're now seeing the expected play I was talking about. Instead of now clearing top to bot, you're seeing Trundle wants to force a play onto that Renekton. In the meantime, it's going to be a continual force down bot lane.
Yeah, they're going to continue to push down through this bot lane turret. There's a teleport coming through. Rufus and Jejky will pick up the kill very nicely. Random is going to be teleporting in. Wasn't exactly needed as promisq starts to walk out, but Random is looking for the engage. He does get flayed away, but the Sonic Wave will land, and I think Jejky should be able to slow this down enough to pick up the kill.
I don't think Leader was feeling like he could do anything there. Certainly not planning on doing anything anyway, as he just watched his teammates slowly fall down. Wasn't a whole lot he could do as the Azir, especially pre-6. No way to kind of disengage that for his friend there. And now it's going to be a nice dragon pickup for eSuba. A solid early game, which is what we wanted to see from them.
Yeah, that's good stuff from eSuba. They are quite happy to just take away that first dragon, which is nice.
Especially when
Mouz are not going to be able to respond.
I was going to say, especially when you compare it to their previous game up against mousesports. In their previous game, there was a 5k lead for mousesports at 14 minutes. This time, while the gold is even, a lot more plays going the way of eSuba. Specifically, you can look over at Jejky scores 3 kills in the Lee Sin, going to have to start using those to continue the snowball.
They're going to now head towards that bot side of the map. I don't think anybody is there. They are waiting for some turn-up to happen, although you can see Jejky there as well. They see Obsess and promisq turn up on the bot side. Those arrows are starting to do some serious damage already, and I think it's going to be able to be Rufus and Dany just happy to clear out this wave. And they may lose a plate for it, but I don't think anything else is going to come from this.
It is worth noting that Piercing Arrow has a really strong breakpoint as Lethality Varus as soon as you finish that dirt. It's a really good time to be able to force a play if you can find it, just because you get that real sudden burst in damage from that first Lethality buy, but I think it will start to kind of become more noticeable, obviously, as you get the chance to stack up more items against this relatively squishy team.
Still 15 CS down though. There's been a lot of action on that bot side of the map, and that has resulted in a little CS advantage opening up for Jeskla right now. You can see now Tolkin going to be the target once more. Jejky really trying to make something happen here on this top side of the map. Robocop, he's just dead. No way. No way. No way! Tolkin gets a double. That was just abysmal. It really was.
Oh dear. Tolkin has become the Tolkin, and he's come to collect. 1 more, 2 more, right there, just farming up.
Do we need to see a replay of this sadness?
Oh,
this is just very sad.
Follows with the thing that Jejky's immediately swapped into the aggro as well, stuck under there. No kick available either to try force that play a little harder. And there goes all that lead that had been sitting on Jejky over to Tolkin now, who now sits 3-1 as well.
Oh, promisq dives in. I think Dany's just dead. This is just looking very grim for eSuba, and Mouz are really just going to solidify that first place in this group. I just feel like the morale of eSuba is in the gutter right now, and Mouz know it. They are playing with them. They are just taking any opportunity they can to look for a kill. That is going to be Rufus going in solo now. Jejky moving through, but promisq's there as well. Jeskla's just happy to trade back. This is just very sad for eSuba, and Mouz just looking very strong.
Yeah, on the other side as well, you're going to use that to pick up the Herald for free, completely uncontested, knowing that Lee is forced bot side, basically, to help cover for his bot lane. Actually, Robocop going to respond here. No level 6 for Obsess, which might give him a bit of a better chance, but this is what I was talking about. You have the priority mid lane. Even with that pushing top lane, it's going to be hard to try force anything.
Yeah, and even if Random was able to ult into that situation, Tolkin was making his way down. He has got Phage and Sheen activated too. Obsess now level 6 with the Rift Herald. And they're going to start snowballing this game. 2,500 gold lead or thereabouts for Mouz already. And it has really been bot lane and top lane focus so far. Both of those side lanes having an excellent game so far.
So you're kind of looking for picks here. That's what eSuba really want to prioritize. You have a lot of potential with that once again. Similar to their previous comp, you have the Poke Varus. You also, of course, Lee Sin, someone who excels in that regard, on top of the Renekton that they've once again prioritized. So a lot of single target burst, a lot of lane priority that they were looking for, but Mouz really not giving them much time to use it.
promisq's just going aggressive again, looking for Dany, who's had a very, very tough game so far. Now, almost 30 CS down on his opposite number. And a lot of that gold lead is going to be coming through that particular CS advantage. Leader's just going to be farming, and you know, this is kind of the story when Leader is on something that isn't assassin, you know, isn't like a kind of a flashy champion. He generally tends to be a bit quiet, and then his side lanes step up. You know, the likes of Tolkin, the likes of Jeskla and promisq, they have those carry performances that we expect from this superstar mid laner.
I think a lot of it comes from a conscious decision from Mouz when they go into a draft like that. They go, okay, now leader isn't going to be a big, heavy, snowballing focus. That's fine. We're going to start focusing our attention elsewhere. Previously, it was Obsess who did a lot of the work. Now it's actually the lane standing up by themselves, allowing Jejky to attempt to make plays and simply turning them around so quickly.
It's going to be the Rift Herald dropped, and you know that the Esuba bot lane stand no chance of defending against this push. This should be the first turret of the game, going very nicely over to Mouz on the bottom side of the map, and a good use of the Herald too, because the Dragon has just spawned, and that is going to provide some distraction as it pushes on towards that second tier turret to allow Mouz to very comfortably take that first Dragon of the game for themselves.
I think they'll be happy enough with this, but as you said, picking up the Dragon as well. Well, one Dragon did go over to eSuba, so it'll delay that soul point. Their previous win against eSuba was 22 minutes. So I don't think they're too worried about any delays potentially being necessary to the soul, because they're looking to continue to snowball this lead. We talked about how last time it was a 5k lead at 14 minutes. This time, we're looking at almost a 3.5k at 11, so not too far off that point.
I mean, they are just looking very dominant so far. Everybody, and this is kind of what I want to talk about. When we saw Leader and Obsess in the European Masters previously, their wins came from pure mechanical brilliance. I mean, Leader found so many 1v1s versus his opponent mid laners and managed to generate such a ridiculous lead that his side lane pressure was just too good. This Mouz looks a bit more grown up. You know, compared to the Misfits that won it previously. I mean, there's a very, very grown-up feel to the way that they play the game. A little bit like we were talking about with Energy Pot Wizards. It's all very sort of objective focus. And yes, they do sometimes have those Fiesta leader moments where he is just popping off on a particular pick. But, you know, they are just playing it by the numbers right now. They are painting the Rift the way that you should do it, to take the gold where it's necessary and take the objectives where it's necessary. Dany going to get hooked and looked across. He actually tries to flash out of the way, but immediately Obsess goes down. That'll be Jeskla picking up the kill.
Now,
easy enough, and that's it.
Okay, it's going to be another one potentially onto random, but with Jejky there, it's going to be a little harder. Leader doesn't have the ultimate, did use it in that play, but while your point was really, really well worded and beautifully sounded as always, Xcandrel, I was really distracted by the fact that both members of eSuba's bot lane separately walked over a pink ward in their own jungle, with plenty of time to clear it, which gave them complete knowledge to mousesports from what the attempted play was. But here's another play first.
Yeah, he's going in for the taunt straight onto Leader, going to try and find it with Jejky. They will find the kill. The shutdown is there. And that is a bit of gold going back over to eSuba here. That was a small bounty, I think, purely CS focused. Jejky's going to get pulled in and immediately jumps in Obsess. That'll be the taunt coming through from random. What can they do here? I think Obsess is going down, and that'll be Jejky picking up his second kill. So just as I praised Mouz for not fiestaing it, they start up a full circus. And now it looks like promisq is also... No. Oh no, wait a second here. Jeskla taken very low. He will be able to get under turrets. promisq doing his best, but Dany unfortunately unable to deliver the damage necessary to find that kill, but it did look almost like promisq would go down in that situation. Nonetheless, Mouz give up a couple of kills, and eSuba will take the scraps that they can find under the table. That's what they need at this point in time.
Interesting now, as you said, it was kind of gifted over to them. We'll have a look at this replay here where Leader just gets immediately jumped on from the TP. I don't think was expecting Random to run quite so aggressively at him. Maybe should have backed off there, but after this is where the bigger mistake comes in, where promisq and Obsess decide, okay, we can burst out Jejky, this should be fine, ignoring that Obsess really doesn't have that much damage available, but more importantly, there's a lot of damage coming from the other side, and Random gets the big taunt off, taking a lot of that damage away from the Lee Sin. But here's the other side of that play, where you see promisq has to walk through the enemy bot lane. It's a good ult, but actually ends up with Jeskla getting hooked as a result. Almost ends up going down, but doesn't matter. Huge amount of burst either side, and eventually it ends up being even.
Yeah, that was the arrow used at the start of the fight. Unfortunately, just wasn't the burst there to actually get the kill onto promisq, but nonetheless, eSuba, I don't think it's really giving them a huge window back into this game, but it's some much needed gold. And Jejky is really the one that has got all of it right now. Jejky is like 100% the damage, the carry potential of this team right now. A lot of people kind of touted this team as a kind of a Jejky focused team. He now has the opportunity to convert this gold lead into something tangible for his squad, and if he can do that, good. If he can't, I don't think anyone's going to sort of shake a fist at him. It's going to be the next Rift Herald. There's a 2-level advantage for Jejky over Obsess right now, and immediately they're going to find the engage. There is the... he gets kicked over the Lantern. He doesn't manage to find it as he gets kicked over the CC chained, and that is going to allow this Rift Herald to go down to eSuba. There is life in the Hit Point Masters team yet, and this second objective, when it really felt completely out of their hands, is going to go over to eSuba.
Yeah, I think the massive level lead over to Jejky, the massive just gold lead over to Jejky as well, means it's just very difficult for them to contest in positions like that. And now it's actually going to be eSuba.
Yeah, that's Rufus getting hooked up here. They're going to go straight on, and they get the shutdown as well. promisq tried to lantern him out, but again, just chaining that CC and immediately going to drop the Rift Herald in the top.
Okay, now going to try push. This is, again, you have to remember, this was a 3k gold lead pretty comfortably for Mouz. Now, very quickly narrowing down. That brings it down to not even 2k in Mouse's favor.
They should get a second charge. Are they going to get this? They're going to get the second tier 2 here as well. That's a really big swing for eSuba. That should bring them level in gold.
Massive swing. A massive swing that was necessary for eSuba here. Finally coming back into this one. Very big change from what we'd seen, and this is actually some of the worries we'd seen from Mouz up into other teams, which is this over-aggression, this over-forcing gave away some of the leads they were able to win early on, and this time they don't necessarily have the big assassin leader plays to drag them out of that.
We'll get the second dragon in the game though, but again, second dragon doesn't really mean much. eSuba, they are fighting in this this game that really doesn't mean much to them, but it does mean a lot to Mouz, because Mouz win this, they would go through as guaranteed first seed. eSuba are giving it everything they've got to upset the apple cart in this situation and do the Hit Point Masters proud. Again, 5 Czech players from the Czech region. You know, they are really doing, like, playing for their country and their league as well as just themselves right now. And
a game which, against a team which you noted is one of, maybe, potentially, arguably at least, the best performing from the Prime League. Interested to see if they can manage to take this away, especially considering some of the teams they did manage to lose to just before this. You can see how much more even this run of the European Masters has been in comparison to previous years.
Going to be Mouz just taking the top side turret here. Tolkin able to get that pretty free. No one able to respond to him. We'll have to see if eSuba can respond in any way, shape or form. And Mouz is just going to push in the mid lane.
I think eSuba finally finding what they wanted to do with this style of comp that they've drafted so many times over, especially with the early Renekton focus, this move towards the Lee Sin as well, finally getting some of these aggressive plays that they've been trying to lock for so long. I think if you look over the rest of the map as well, it's about who's performing for them, and really it is all focused on Jejky, whereas on the other side you have Tolkin still doing well on the scaling pick in the Gangplank. You still have the Kalista doing fine, has even built the QSS now to avoid some of this lockdown that we have seen come out, might help protect from some of the flash forward from Robocop we have seen throughout this game. Wait to see how this plays out as we approach maybe a team fight sometime soon.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Jejky just lands the Sonic Wave onto Obsess, who... he's not going to take it. He won't go any further forward here. Obsess just going to try and clear out some vision around this Baron pit. And again, Baron spawning in just over a minute's time. So, 1 minute 15 until the Baron is on the cards. And that will allow a big objective to be contested between these two teams.
Here's the big engage, though. Random on the other side.
Yeah, Random looking for the taunt, can't quite find it onto Jeskla, and suddenly those Ren stacks start to build up. Tolkin's going to separate out the fight with that ultimate. And I think that is all she wrote. Although I say that, Jejky jumps in straight onto Obsess, immediately taking damage and followed up by the Galio. But this is such a split fight, and Random with no flash, surely going to go down on the sidelines. Yes, he finds a big taunt, but he is giving his life away. Jeskla will pick it up.
Beautifully done. I actually love the pillar there as well to cut off the Galio, trying to make the way out of the play. If you can't quite catch the Lee Sin, you're at least taking the Galio down for protecting him.
You can see now no one confident enough. There's not much on the map to really go for. That was a too early kill to convert for a very early Baron, but still just 2,000 gold between these two teams right now. That's a very slim margin to work with. And actually not as a commanding lead as I would have expected, though I'd say that I do think the scaling, especially with the Gangplank, is kind of on Mouse's side. So if we're going into the late game and it's even, I'm still favoring Mouse, you know, in these teamfight situations just because of the scaling that I think they have.
I think that's the big thing. I'm looking at across the board here, that something I touched on earlier, that we had so much of the lead focused on Jejky. I'd be interested to see how the gold looks like across the board on the other side. You can actually see a 600 gold bounty on that Gangplank because he's actually 2,000, a little over 2,000 gold ahead. So you can see while there's just a 2,000 gold lead on Mouse, it's much more spread out across the board, where very much a lot of Mouse's gold is focused on that Lee Sin, who's almost 3,000 ahead of his counterpart in Obsess.
It's going to be the next dragon spawning in just 50 seconds time. And it looks like Mouse grouping up around it. Obsess, who has been very good today, has been quiet this game. I guess hasn't really had much to do, though, because it's really been all about Jeskla and Tolkin, who have kind of stepped up and had a really, really solid game overall. But he has kind of been out-jungled a little bit by Jejky. Jejky has been everywhere. He's been doing his damn best to make sure his team can find some kind of advantage. Hasn't managed to sort of find a commanding lead. Oh my god, what a hook over the wall from promisq. Immediately into the box. I think Dany is just dead in this situation as Obsess picks up the kill. Not sure what eSuba can do with this as Jejky jumps in. Unfortunately, the flash is not there, and now that death bowl starts with Leader slamming down with the soldiers. That is going to be straight onto Baron. And that is an easy convert for Mouse.
And you see, once you start off with the pick, the team fight from Mouse steps in. You take out that Varus, and suddenly everyone else from eSuba tries to run in, tries to find more picks, but just can't. And Mouse run them down.
I'm going to take the Baron easily here. Oh, eSuba, I really felt like you were coming back into it, but you have just gifted away another team fight, and Mouse are just so good at capitalizing as well. They are not going to let you get away with a team fight loss like that without losing something major on the map, and they have already taken the Baron at 21 minutes into the game. This really feels now like it's going to be tough for eSuba to respond. They're going to teleport in for this dragon take, but Mouse are already on their way over. They want to contest this.
Yeah, and you can see that everyone's there from eSuba. Mouse are very quickly going to arrive, but eSuba have taken it quite low already. Blade the Rune King doing a good bit of work from Robocop.
They'll get it. Jejky will secure it. But the rest of Mouz are ready for blood, and you can see immediately the taunt trying to come through here from Random, who again is trying to find the best opportunity to combo with Jejky. They do find one kill, but on the backline, promisq trying to do his best to delay the entrance of Robocop. Still, Jeskla untouched as well. I don't think that taunt is doing diddly squat. A triple kill for Leader, and another commanding teamfight victory for Mouz.
Yeah, and he may be known for the assassins, but still able to perform on this Azir. Nicely done from Leader again, making sure that Mouse are the ones ahead of this. And honestly, after two plays like that, maybe a sigh of relief for the fans of the DACH region, who were worried that maybe in this final performance coming of eSuba, Mouse are going to fall.
Mouse have got the Baron. This could be absolutely devastating for eSuba. They might lose a lot of their base here. I do think Mouse are going to take it easy, though. Going to back off, use that Baron buff, and go somewhere else. So you can see, though, let's get a replay of that fight.
You can see again, there's going to be the quick dragon secure. But watch Leader here the whole time. He's the one who ends up picking up the triple kill. The whole time he's able to sit outside of the fight, not worried about it. Gets everyone jumping onto carries beside him, but never focusing out this Azir, who's able to focus down and then immediately turn around with the squishy Varus and take out everyone who's left. The consistent damage of the Azir helping out hugely.
We're going to head towards the top side of the map now. Robocop again. There's been a lot lost on the map for eSuba. The 6k gold lead has opened up. And again, Mouz just waiting for that opportunity to pounce. Obsess in the front line here. He will try and escape as Random again goes aggressive for a fight. I don't know if this is a fight that you want to take eSuba. They do get the initial kill, but Jeskla again just wailing away on the sidelines. Jejky looks for a kick, but it's just not good enough. And Leader untouched as well. He's doing so much damage with those soldiers. Okay, you pick off Obsess, but he's not really the target when he's 1 and 3. The rest of Mouz is what you have to worry about, and Leader and Jeskla are just doing so much damage right now.
An important pick for them to get, but Leader now has the potential.
Oh, the Shurima shuffle into the double kill. That's easy as you like for Leader. A big play that's now going to allow Mouz to push straight down mid lane.
It just looked so simple for him to follow through, and now looking for another one again. Not quite going to find Robocop. He does end up running away, but right down the mid lane there. Nice clean play from Leader, especially considering I was watching previously. He actually missed the earlier EQ coming from Red Buff. Redeems himself by finding it once it's needed.
Really nice stuff from Leader. promisq's just going to throw the lantern out. Maybe just throwing a helping line over to eSuba, who are in a rough state in this game right now. Jeskla's going to take away the red buff, deny yet another resource away from the eSuba side, although you can see they are just trying to stick around in this red side jungle, maybe trying to find a pick. Or just take away some more jungle camps. Jeskla, again, very good at clearing them with that Runaan's Hurricane completed already.
I think the thing is they're looking for a pick, but they're just not sitting around and waiting for it. They're looking to pick up resources, deny them, as you said, while they're waiting, because there's no reason not to, as eSuba now finally start catching up. Come back into this one, pick up the crab. Jejky wants to go aggressive, wants to keep looking for these plays, especially against Obsess.
I do really love that eSuba are just saying, screw it, let's just team fight as much as physically possible. And you can see Jejky just not afraid to walk, they're 8k gold down, they are not afraid to walk into the blue side jungle of their opponent team and just look for some kind of play. Jejky is still quite strong. He still has assassin potential here. He can still take out some of the squishier members of the Mouse lineup with a good kick and a good combo. And the 8k team that are down, they're going, oh my god, Dany just got two-shot there. Obsess on the front line, Mouse taking kills left, right, and center. Leader is godlike in this game. And Jejky can do nothing here apart from jump across the wall. promisq maybe looking for some kind of engage. They're still going for it. That's a Shurima shuffle once more. And now Jejky stuck in the middle of the fight. I don't know if Random is going to do diddly squat to help out here. Leader will try and find some kills just on the outside onto Rufus, but this should be the game for Mouse. They have a clear path down the mid lane with those buffed up inhibitor minions. They're going to go through the bot though.
And once again, it's just the Varus. Oh, Dany boy. It's just calling every single time. You see the fight kicks off, and then the Varus just gets eviscerated as soon as they throw a single spell his way. And it looks like the rest of the base is going to be eviscerated for eSuba. This looks to be the end of it.
mousesports, the second seed from the Prime League, will secure the first seed coming out of their group at 5-1. A very clean performance from previous European Masters winners Obsess and Leader 2. And that is a good result for them. It means there are no tiebreaker situations on the cards, and we have a final game of the day to decide who joins Mouse in getting out of this group. eSuba, unfortunately, they go home at 0-6. They do not manage to pick up a win throughout this group stage. Again, they were up against it. They had a really tough group. I think there were some good individual performances there, but big congratulations to Mouse. They are looking like a very, very, very dominant team from the Prime League today.
Yeah, I think we've seen a few 06 teams that still have shown signs of life in some of those games. I definitely think, especially up against the Energy Pot Wizards, we saw that eSuba could maybe have edged out if they just cleaned up different portions of the play. I think they can watch back over this and take notes from maybe some of the smaller mistakes that they made that snowballed into bigger ones, and maybe take that back to the Hit Point Masters and try to build from there.
Absolutely, but congratulations again to Mouse, who will leave the group as the first seeds here, uncontested. No tiebreaker situations on the cards for them. We are going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we have an interview with Tolkin, the top laner from Mouse.
Magic. 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 Magic.
Vous comprenez maintenant pourquoi j'ai créé la Magic? En un clip, vous devenez Magic.
La monture avec ses 2 clips pour 149 €.
C'est Magic.
Dispositif médical.
This is my creed. The boots that make me faster. The items that make me stronger. The potions that I drink. I get the best to be more powerful, so my champion rises to the top. But all this leveling up means nothing if I don't level up myself. It's the healthy potions I drink in real life that make me stronger. Because you can only rule the game when you realize you are your most important champion. To play like a pro, eat like a pro.
Time for a true display of skill.
My axe is ready. Witness true strength.
A gift from me to you. Ooh.
Another soul lost.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
You stay on my mind, think about you all the time. Got to get to know you well. If you kiss, then I will tell. You stay on my mind, think about you all the time. Got to
Hello,
get
good
to
dude.
know
Come
you
on.
well. If you kiss, then I will tell.
Okay.
You stay on my mind, think about you all the time. Got to get to know you well. If you kiss, then I will tell. You stay on my mind, think about you all the time. Got to get to know you.
Hi guys, welcome back to the European Masters. I'm here with Tolkin, and just like I was talking to Lucchesi earlier, Tolkin, I have a bit of history with you as well. You used to play in the UK scene. Really nice to see you. I'm really happy to see you doing well on Mouz. How has the European Masters been for you guys so far? You've obviously got two previous champions on your roster, so that might help. That might help the confidence a little bit. But you're certainly doing the Prime League proud. How did you find the overall groups now it's done?
Oh, I think it's so much better than last year. I think the double round robin really added a lot more hype to the group phase. It's better than just a single best of one. And I think you can also see it. Like last time we had almost no upsets. It was pretty much every team that you would think would go through, they went through. And this time we have lots of upsets, some teams that can surprise, and a lot of tiebreakers. So I think this time the group stage has been a lot better executed, and it's a lot more fun to play your Masters.
We just saw your 2v1 on Gangplank on stream. I don't know if you saw it, but that was quite a moment. I guess Gangplank are pretty broken. But I think obviously I just checked. I believe you guys have the best record exiting the group stage out of any of the teams at 5-1. And it's not like you had easy competition either. You had a pretty good group with Fnatic and Energy Pot Wizards stepping up to the plate as well. Were you expecting that with the level of competition in this tournament for Mouz to come out at 5-1 with the best record, as well as sort of trumping your Prime League counterparts in the form of Schalke and Gamer Legion? Were you guys expecting this? Were you guys this confident coming into the European Masters?
Oh, definitely. We were really confident. Obviously, we have two winners who previously won the entire tournament. We have an MSI champion and an XLEC player as well in Jeskla. So definitely, we were not expecting to lose in groups or anything. But of course, Fnatic Rising, definitely a strong contender. First seed from the UK scene. And the top of the UK scene is not bad at all. Definitely, we had hard games against Fnatic. But to answer your first question, I was definitely surprised that Schalke had a rather poor performance. I mean, they still play hopefully 2 tiebreakers and they join us in the quarterfinals. But yeah. Coming in from the first seed from the DACH region, definitely I was expecting them to do a bit better, yeah.
I've got a question actually, because we've seen Leader, I would say on like Azir, it's not something that we're used to seeing Leader play. I definitely feel like this version of a Leader team is a bit more macro focused and a bit more pared back from what we saw in the last European Masters. Has this been a conscious decision for your team to like get Leader onto things like Azir, take him off the side lane split push pressure? Because you seem like a very, very mature team in terms of the way that you approach the game, compared to Misfits last year with Leader, who literally just solo killed everyone in lane and won because he was a mechanical beast.
Yeah. I mean, I think we definitely also still have this mechanical aspect, but of course, all of Leader's champions, they kind of fulfill the same role, and they're all melees, but Azir adds like the ranged element, which allows us to play a bit more siege heavy, or like even allows us to play different comps, and not only the split push, but also 4-1 kind of styles, or even team fighting. And I think it's just good on Leader. I mean, he adapted to the meta. At the moment, there's lots of fights for dragons, for the objectives, for Nash. So yeah, you have to adapt. You can't only go split push. You have to adjust your champion pool, and I think he's doing well on picking up again his blue champion rise, his Azir, everything like this. Obviously, he played in the past, and he will play it again. But I definitely still think we are going for some mechanical outplays, and our games are a bit bloody, but I think this is also a big strength that our players can pull this through, and obviously Leader is the prime example if you talk about the mechanics.
I mean, you had an excellent outplay on the top lane as well. So that's not just to talk about Leader. Everybody in your team is capable of it. So I think you guys are doing really well. I'm excited to see you now as first seed from this group going further in the tournament. Who knows, we can have a return of a champion for Obsess and Leader, and I hope you guys do incredibly well. Thank you so much for joining me, Tolkin. Good luck for the rest of the tournament. We'll see you in the quarterfinals, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Right,